Hello and welcome to the Wealth Branch walkthrough tutorial. I have a little bit of an outline here I'm going to follow, but this is going to be unscripted, unedited. I'm just going to walk through this application, show you what we've built and how it can help you become a better trader and help you find trades right now that are happening in the market so you don't have to wait days, weeks for things to manifest. You can click a couple buttons and find setups. So I'm not going to say anything here at the moment. Just watch. Just look at the screen and watch what I'm doing and see if you can pick up what this tool just did, because there's nothing in the market that does this. So watch what I'm doing and then I'll come back and I'll explain everything. All right, did you see what I did there? I'm going to explain it here in a moment, but I just went through 5-6 charts that all have very similar patterns that look kind of like in a dip area, maybe potential setups that we might want to swing trade. And it just goes on and on and on. You can see how all these patterns are very similar, right? That's what this thing is doing. So let's begin the tutorial. I'll explain what Wealth Branch is. So some of this is scripted, so I'm kind of reading from a script here. So just bear with me as I churn through this. But I am so excited to present this thing because I've spent years working on this, and this is the first fully functional multi-time frame version of the software. I can analyze anything from daily all the way down to 1-minute charts using this system. It took me a long time to get it optimized so that it would run well, and now it's ready, and I'm presenting it here for the first time. So Wealth Branch is a stock. We also do ETF and about 500 cryptos. It's a screener and charting platform built around one idea that the market repeats patterns. Our custom indicator, which you can see here on the right, is called the leaf, which goes with our brand, Wealth Branch. Leaf, Wealth Branch, similar thing, similar concept. So what this leaf does is that it captures the shape of any chart setup as a 13-point fingerprint. It's basically a snapshot, and then we can scan the entire market to reveal the closest matching setups happening right now, matching whatever the state is that I'm looking for. If I'm looking for a dip, if I'm looking for like a FOMO, like super rising climb, like if you look at the chart here right now, we're looking at, what is this, Markle Corporation? I don't even know what this is, some financial services company. But you can see the leaf changes as I go up, and then it changes as I go down. And so every bar has its own state, and we capture that state. So that's what the leaf is. So we cover every time frame, like I mentioned, from 1-minute scalps all the way to daily swings, and the patterns work across any market. It's basically a fractal, so it can work on stocks, ETFs, cryptos, and time frames. You can use the same pattern across all time frames and all asset classes that we support. So you don't need to know complicated technical analysis. You don't need to fumble with complicated screener forms that yield few or no results. You don't need to sift through a watch list of tickers that may take days, weeks, months to reach prices where you would actually buy. You just need to find a setup that worked in the past on the chart by looking at the chart and then clicking on the chart in the past. Click that setup and then let the leaf find you more of those setups today. So let's walk through the application here. I'm on basically the main page. This is the main chart forecasting page. You've got a chart in the center here, and over here on the right, you see the leaf like I mentioned. If you're on a smaller device, I'm on a desktop here because it's easier to see everything on the screen on a desktop. On a smaller device, the leaf is positioned probably up here in the top left, just so it'll fit on the screen. But our app does support mobile, and it's meant to be used on a mobile device. You can use the mobile app on any browser, on your iPhone or Android device, and even on tablets. And you can swipe with your fingers. So you can swipe up and down kind of like a TikTok or a Tinder or something and find patterns that you want to save or tickers that you want to watch on your phone, and then you can come back to your desktop later and review them on a bigger platform or a bigger page so you can see more. So, let me get back to my little notes here. Where was I? The leaf is a snapshot of the current market state, like I mentioned, or a snapshot of the chart pattern on the current selected bar, which I mentioned. Each petal on the leaf represents a different measurement of price action. Things like trend strength, momentum, swing position, compression, and expansion. Together, they form a unique fingerprint of what the chart looks like at any given moment. So right now, you're seeing the leaf for the current bar, the latest price action on this ticker. So if I'm looking at right here, that's the current leaf today. But then if I go back here to this peak, that's a big bullish leaf right there. So if I click on this, and you can click on the leaf anywhere. If you see a leaf over here, it's going to give you this leaf. This is the one that I had snapshotted. So this one's showing tickers that are similar to this leaf here on the left. But the one on the right is the one that's on the page that I'm looking at, or the ticker that I'm looking at. So when I click this, you can see it gives you let me do the last bar here. It gives you a breakdown of what we're seeing. And so this one is particularly interesting because we've got a pinch point. And if you scroll down to the bottom here, because we're drastically oversold. So this could be potentially turning, but we just wait for it to cross over, and then you get some green area in here. And then maybe an AI forecast turn to the upside back to the mean, which would be, this is a really expensive price stock, so it doesn't move that much, but it's like a 2% gain on a $2,000 stock. So, back to my notes here. So each petal, together they form a unique fingerprint of what the chart looks like at any given moment. Right now you're seeing the leaf for the current bar. I said that. So let me explain what the leaf has on it. So we've got a bigger picture here of the leaf so we can see it. Let me pick on one that's like full. Maybe with a little bit of red in it. So this is a good one. All right, so at the top it's called TZ. Trend zone. That's what TZ is, just short. So it's a TZ line. If we go back to this page, this white line is the TZ line. It's basically a 200 period moving average, which gives you a long-term trend direction. And so what this does is it gives you, the whole thing is +5 is super bullish and -5 is super bearish. So you've got a range from -5 to +5. A positive TZ means price is above its long-term 200 period moving average, and the broad term trend is bullish. Negative means it's below, and the big trend is bearish. So you can see when you're up here, you're in a big, strong bull trend. You're at, this is very, very well extended, very deviated away from the mean. So you're way up here. You're kind of, if you're buying a long, opening up a long position up here, you're just playing with fire because you're so far deviated from the mean. So that's why we're at a +5. And then when you get down here, we start going in the other direction. But this is still a weak trend because the trend's still been going up for a while. So it's only like a -2 versus up here is a +5. So that's the trend zone. The swing zone works very similar, but it's on a shorter period. These are 75 periods, and this is meant to create the colored bars that we get, and we can ride these swings in a very, momentum way. So like back here is a good example where the momentum switched. So if I click on this, this should have a pinch on the leaf. So you can see we're both in a very low pinch area, and the pinch point signals converging at an extreme. Crossover may be imminent to the upside. And then you can see that it follows that and goes up from, $1,800 to $2,000. So what is that? It's like a 10% move. And this is just one example. So that's TZ and SC. Those are two important things to understand. It's just trend zone, which is the long-term trend, and the swing zone, which is kind of like what we're going to trade. You want to trade the swing zone as it deviates up and down around these averages. Now, the center point is called the BC, and it's just a count with it'll max out at 99, which is a crazy long trend. You're rarely ever going to see 99s. But it goes from 0 basically up to 99, and you're probably going to see most of these within like 0 to 20 on most stocks. But when it crosses over, for example, we got a green trend right here, we're at 1. So the bar count's 1. We're in a green trend. It's only 1 bar into the upswing. Ideal entry timing. The swing is fresh with the most potential ahead. And then if you see right below that, the momentum is rising. Turn rising, recovering above pinch. Watch for a bounce. And we got it. We basically went up like 5 or 10% on this stock. So that's the bar count. If you've got our first red bar, so you can see here we had 47 green bars in a row, and then if I click the right and left arrow, I can increment, fine tune what leaf I want to look at, which is convenient. And so I get a first bar red, and then this is still going on. Like we're all the way to today. We're 58 bars of red down, and this could be potentially bottoming out, maybe down here, if you look at the bottom here, in the crosshair, it says plus P15. That's 15 periods from now. So it's just, P is just periods. That's all it stands for. So 15 periods from now. So it's about 3 weeks would be out here. Maybe it bottoms out here. So that's BC. And then the last important bit is, so you have trend on the top, swing on the bottom, BC is in the middle, and then the turn and pinch are the momentum oscillators, which is this oscillator on the bottom here. So you can see, like, if I go over to this one here, they're both plus 5s or close to plus 5s. So this is a pinch point that's kind of extreme. And you can see that the momentum kind of died off. And then at some point, all the robots on the market absolutely annihilated this stock on this day here once the momentum started to turn down. So if you're in a bullish trend and you start seeing this red creep in, and then you see the turn and pinch turning over, and you open up the leaf, and it says momentum falling, and you actually had a crossover somewhere in this area, and it also said pinch point imminent to the downside, and it did exactly that and went all the way down to here. So I mean that's a 10% drop. So that's the turn and pinch. And then the p-values on the chart, as a human being looking at this and not doing crazy math behind the scenes, you're just trying to find trades to throw your money at. The p-values are not that important to pay attention to. What the p-values are the remaining petals that help draw the historical shape of price. So they tell the story of where the swing zone was relative to the trend zone over the multiple look-back periods. And that's what draws the pattern. So, for example, if I'm on today's leaf here, this pattern has a bunch of p-values around it, and it's basically redrawing these moving averages. So if I right now on the left here is similar stuff. So let me load, I'll just do find trades on this date, and I'll load charts that look just like this pattern. So it should look like a hump like this is what we should get, relatively speaking. It's basically a similar match. So this is the one we were looking at. And then the list over here is all the similars sorted by most similar. And if I scroll down to the next one, you can see it's got a hump and then it fell down. It's got a hump and it fell down. That one looks exactly like the one we were just looking at. So almost the same pattern. Had a hump, fell down. Had a hump, fell down. I mean, look at that. This one actually's got some green creeping in. This may actually be something to look at. What is this? American Eagle Outfitters. Some clothing. It's got to fight through that EMA to get back up though, but that's a nice trade. So that's the p-values. The p-value is just drawing the extra stuff. So when you're looking at leaf patterns, just pay attention to the trend for the long-term trend, the swing for the basically short swing trend or short-term trend. The turn and pinch kind of work together for momentum. And all we're looking for is which one is above the other one to tell you whether or not the momentum is rising or the momentum is falling. And then how long the trend has been going is the BC, bar count. So trend zone, swing zone, bar count, turn and pinch. So that's the leaf in a nutshell. And now I've kind of showed this already multiple times, but this is where the magic is happening. This is what the power of the leaf can do. All I have to do is I click on a chart anywhere, and then I just click find trades. So I'm clicking in the past. I'm looking at today is I made this video on April 6th, 2026. And we're looking at American Eagle Outfitters, and if I scroll back to January 8th, 2026, you have this like toppy looking pattern that's creeping in to a possible loss of momentum. You can see it's turning over. And if I click find trades, now we are looking at stocks today on April 6th, not January 10th or whatever date it was I just picked on in January. We're looking at April 6th, 2026, you see the red kind of creeping in. It's turning over. If I look at the leaf here, it probably happened here during the pinch point. Signals converging at an extreme. Crossover may be imminent to the downside. It kind of just goes sideways here. And we're in this little dangerous area here where it could potentially fall down. And if I do this little AI forecast, you can see it's kind of fading here, so this might turn over. And we are in a long-term bull trend here on this specific chart. The EMA is kind of trending upwards. So you could say probably risky here to short, but if we get down into this 176, 175, 178 area, that could be a potential dip that looks like maybe this or this and continues to go up further. What is this? Atmos Energy Corporation. So this is probably riding the whole Middle East war, gas prices going up, profits. So that's a risky thing on its own. So that's what the leaf does. That's the power of the leaf. So I've kind of said most of the stuff in my outline already. So let's see. Watch the leaf. The moment I clicked, it animated to capture the exact shape of that setup at that bar. This is a snapshot in time. The leaf is now showing you what the market looked like right there in that past, which is true. We're just snapshotting the past and recreating it in the future. And when you click on, if you're on a mobile phone, you can do this with your finger by just holding. There's a little icon on the mobile app that kind of gives you a hint that you can do that. And this red bar stuff will show up in the middle of your mobile app, and you can do the same thing. You can increment up and down, or you can press it to let go, and it'll lock it. So you have to lock it, otherwise when you move your mouse, it'll just keep following you. So once you lock it, then you can open up new trades. You can change the stuff here, and you can see what it does to the signals. So you can see that just went from a momentum falling to a potential pinch point where it could potentially turn into a reversal. And if I let go, you can see we're down here in the bottom where we are in a pinch point, and it does reverse. Amazing. I'm laughing because this is awesome. I fucking love it, and I made it, and it took me forever, and I'm happy. So I think you can hear the excitement, the excitement and nervous laughter in my voice as I try to explain everything that I've had in my brain for 6 years, finally coming out to a manifestation in code. All right, so the leaf locks and animates, we got that. The platform scans every stock across every time frame. So yeah, I mean, I'm on daily here, but if I go up here in the top left, I'm on a desktop, so I can see all the tickers on the screen. But if you're on a smaller screen, you won't be able to see these tickers. You'll have to click the red button here at the top, and it'll give you the table of all the tickers, and then you can click through the tickers that way. Or you can swipe on the phone, or you can click down. There's multiple ways to do it. And then if you want to change time frames, I'm basically in a pro account. The pro account is what you need to get the hourly and minute charts. A free account only has daily charts and is limited. But like, for example, I can click the hourly chart on here. And this is not a very this is a regional bank stock, so it doesn't have much, has really choppy liquidity. So let's look at like, I don't know, Microsoft or something. So change that to ticker, find macro Microsoft. Now I'm on an hourly chart of Microsoft. So you can see we were down here in this low area for a while, and finally is trying to get a little bit of action here. We're pretty far zoomed in, but that would have been an amazing short opportunity here if you just kind of set your stop loss at these yellow lines. So on this chart, the yellow lines are kind of like local tops and local bottoms. You can use these as initial stop losses. So for example, if this is turning over and you think that this is going to short further, you can set your initial stop loss at the yellow here. And then once it flips over and we get the super trend lines, which is a pretty lenient super trend line, and you can set that as your stop loss and ride this all the way down until you get hit, which is right about there. So what was that? Let's say you even entered this late or waited for confirmation here. I mean, you could have entered it 400? And we got stopped out at 366. Not a bad trade. So that's different time frames. What else here? Just reading through my notes. I already showed the grid. Our data is updated about every minute or so. We don't go less than that. It's just too taxing to process, and there's no reason to. I'm not trying to trade 30-second charts. That would be insane. You don't even have time to enter trades. I don't know why people do that. You're fighting against computers. Like, all I want to see is some trend that I can get in and out of that has a lot of money involved. You know, these are big. I'm looking at Microsoft. This is massive volume every day in this stock. So I'm just trying to ride these whales as they dump on everybody. So that's all you're trying to do. So let's go to saving a pattern. So back in the leaf pop-up. So if I do, let's go back to the daily. And let's say I want to save this. So I click it, I open it, I can save this pattern right here. I can give it a name and then say something funny about it, like Microsoft's going to get murdered, and then say something about how you would trade it, and then hit save, and it'll save in your account, and you can click on that pattern later to recall, setups that are available with that pattern on any time frame. So if you save this on daily, I could literally use this pattern on an hourly chart because it's basically a fractal. It's going to redraw the same exact pattern on an hourly or a minute chart on any asset class, which is pretty awesome. So that is how to save a pattern. So that's how to save a pattern. So when you click the leaf, you also have a save button. Hit that, and you'll be asked to give your pattern a name and description. Once saved, it goes into your leaf. It goes into the leaf library, and from there, you can find trades on it on any time frame, against any branch in any time frame. So I'm going to show you the full library in a few minutes, the full leaf library. But first, let me walk you through everything else that is on the charting screen. So let's go through basically the chart forecast interfaced deep dive here. So I mentioned that the whole point of this application is that you can swipe through charts really quickly. You can do it on your phone with your hand and fingers. You can swipe up and down. On the desktop, you just use this arrow here, or you can click the tickers on the left. So if you look at this menu here on the left, and then if you're on mobile, there's a little gear icon in the bottom right. So this whole interface here on the left shows up on a mobile phone in the bottom right. It's the same exact buttons. And so if I click this, it's very similar to like a TikTok thing where you click the plus, you're basically going to follow the stock. So on your account per branch, so crypto, ETF, and stocks, you have one watch list for each of those brands. And that's what this plus and minus sign does. It adds it to that watch list, and then they show up here on the left under my stock watch list. So I can literally click on my stock watch list, and all the items that I saved, more recent at the top, are here on the list. So I've saved all these tickers by clicking pluses, scrolling through it. So it's basically kind of like a bookmark where I'm going to save it, and then I can look at them all later. Now, if you want to create custom lists, like let's say you want to create more than, that's kind of like an on deck watch list. But then if you want to add this to, we call them baskets, we're going with the whole leaf thing, trees, some baskets. You're collecting fruit, throwing the fruit in the baskets. It's kind of like what the theme here is. So you can create a whole new basket, and then create a basket and put the ticker in there, and you can come back and you'll have a whole bunch of different baskets that you can look at. And if you want to see your basket list, it's down here on the left. It's also in the menu. So just look for my baskets, and then my stock watch list. You have my stock, ETF, and crypto watch list if you have anything in those. And then you just load them up and swipe through them and check them once a day, and spend the rest of your day doing whatever you want instead of looking at charts, wasting all your time. All right, so let's go back. We got an info box pops up. So if you don't know what the company is, which happens a lot when we're just swiping randomly, you're like, what is this company? Like I saw this one the other day. Just thought it was interesting. Looked like it was dumping really hard, and it's starting to get into like an oversold area. We got a pinch zone here on the chart that has crossed over. So if this moves over into this area over here and we start to get kind of a green burn showing up, this might be, I don't know, 10, I'm looking at daily charts here, so this might be 15, 20 periods out. So in a couple of weeks, maybe something this could bounce. But I didn't know what it was. And so I clicked on the info box, and it tells me it is a retailer of home furnishings, offers products in various categories, including furniture. So it's kind of like it's basically a furniture store. So it's like a Home Depot or something. I don't know. I've never heard of it. I don't have any of these near me. That's 5,600 employees. Market cap of $2 billion. Was publicly listed 2012. And there's a website you can go to if you want to see what the heck it is. So that's the info box. We have a notepad in here, so you can take notes. Be like, so if you let's say you saved a ticker and you wanted to add a note and say, I saved this for bounce in 15 days. Maybe bullish. And just save the note. There you go. Shows up on your thing. And you can see all of your notes for all of your tickers down here in my notes on the left menu bar. So we can add a leaf, which we've already covered. It's just another button to get to it. It's going to snap the leaf that you have selected. So if I lock this and then do leaf, I get that one. But if I'm moving around, you're going to get whatever you're stuck on. So you got to lock it and then come over here and add it. So they can add a leaf, add a basket, share, just a standard share button. And if we scroll down to here, I'll go to my leaf page by just clicking on it. Here's all the leaves that I have saved. I'm going to come back to the leaf library here in a minute. So let me go back to the menu. And then if we go to my baskets, probably going to clean this up as it's a little busy, but this is basically my watch list for stock, ETF, and crypto. And then my static baskets is just ones that I made up. So I made some random stuff and threw some tickers in there just for testing. So none of these are really make any sense. It's just randomness. So back to the chart. All right, so that covers the left menu. Time frame and chart controls, which we did briefly cover. This red one is always whatever the ticker list is that you're on, and it shows the table of whatever the stats are. So like I could technically click the search bar here. I'm in ticker, stocks, 1 day, and there's a dice roll here, and I can just click random. And so I'll randomize a ticker list here. And so these are all just random tickers. So if I look at the stats, they're all random. So none of these are going to be in line. But if I'm looking at something where we have, basically it's called a seed. So in this example, Microsoft is basically the seed because it's at the top, and then everything below that is going to be similar. Actually, I'm looking at my watch list. Let me just search for Microsoft, make that the seed. So just search for Microsoft, click on Microsoft, go to Microsoft, and now Microsoft, it says seed. So when it says seed and then it says similar over here, that means everything below is now. So there you go. So you see all the stats are very similar. As opposed to before, I was looking at my watch list, so they were just all random. But you can see that it says seed, and then here it says seed, and then it also says 200 similar setups, whereas the other one said watch list, so you can pay attention to what you're looking at, unlike what I just did. All right, what's next? Time frame and chart controls. We already discussed you can change this. We did discuss that most of the stats are updated about once a minute, but if you leave a chart open, it's not going to update unless you click refresh. So if you come back like in 10 minutes or something, you can just click refresh and it'll draw the latest bar. All the tickers are updating in the background. All right, so we go back, and the only other thing down here in the bottom, so we'll go over the bottom row here, stat box. If you click the stat box, eventually our goal is to make thousands of these little stat boxes, and you could put in whatever you want down here. But right now, we were just trying to get the core of this system running, and so this is all we have available at the moment. But you can turn these on and off, and then apply the settings, and then they'll show up. Our first goal is to maybe change the order of them so you can just rearrange them, but that's not live yet. And then we'll start adding more things. So there'll probably be like a whole list of stuff that you can add. And so I'll just go through the stuff that we have built. One of the most important things that I believe is on this stat box is the monthly volatility percentage. And this is, we call it Matter, M-A-T-R. So it's basically kind of like an average true range, but it's tweaked a bit. It's not a real ATR. It's based on monthly averages over the last 12 months. And what it does is something pretty amazing, is it gives you a comparison against other stocks to kind of say, what percentage is this likely to move in the next, let's say, 20 to 30 days. So within about a month. What kind of range are we going to get? Like what kind of volatility are we going to get? And so I'm looking at Microsoft here, and over the last 12 months, we typically get about a range of 13% or something. So you can see if this stat is below 10%, that's usually a conservative or like a stable stock. That might be something like, I don't know, I'm thinking of like maybe, let's check. General Electric, would they be low? if I could spell. General Motors. What is General Electric's ticker? GE? I feel like this would be a lower one. That's actually 13%. So it moved more. That moves more than I thought. But there's some stables that would be less than 10%, and they're not going to move much. Whereas if I go to like Tesla, for example, Tesla is 20%. So if you look at where it is on this line here, it's in the red area. So it's right on the cusp. So if you're trying to swing trade, I would say between 10 and 20% on stocks is a pretty good range for things that are moving. You're not going to necessarily get destroyed if you're wrong, but you're also getting a fairly decent move that you can actually make some percentages off. Now, if you're more conservative, then yeah, you can go less than 10%. If you're crazy and you like trading penny stocks that move 300% in 6 hours, then yeah, you can go greater than 20%. But there's also a breakdown in this chart here. It kind of tells you how many stocks are in each range in the market. So this is a very handy. So if I'm on Tesla and we're in a similar area, so now we're looking at charts that are similar to Tesla. So for example, Tesla's 20%. Let's say I'm not risky. I don't take enough risk to want to trade a 20% move, but I want that chart pattern that Tesla is in right now. And so I'm looking at similar, and the next one that comes down is this Markle Corporation, and it has an 8%. So it's in the blue area. It's more conservative. And so it's mainly because it's a $2,000 stock, and people don't trade. They're not as actively traded. So you're going to get, a much less move when it goes versus Tesla. So the Tesla is almost about 3 times expected move versus this stock. So this number down here is very handy. So if I just go to another one, let's try another one. Here's another one, it's 20%. Some pharmaceutical, I just call it crap. Some pharmaceutical crap. There's so many pharmaceutical companies that are just worthless. Ooh, this is 38%. Kohl's? Isn't that the department store? This is almost like a penny stock. It's at the top tier. It's in like the 90th percentile of monthly volatility, which makes sense. I mean, it was at 24 and dropped to 11 in a span of a couple months, and then it was at 6 and went to 24 in 5 months, 6 months. So you can see, we just went through the range. We just saw an 8%er, a 20%er, 38%er. So it's very important that you pay attention to this MATR percentage so you don't get wrecked on your trades. So that's that one. So the next one is the 21 period. P is always period. AI forecast. And this is just the numbers that are being shown here on the chart in this blue box. So if I scroll down, a lot of times these will be cached for a bit. So when you scroll through, you might not see Mr. Leaf. But if you see Mr. Leaf, you can just click them. It'll generate it there on the fly, doing a neural network AI forecast, and it'll draw the numbers down here, and you can see what they are. So you can see the red line down at the bottom there is 58.55. Yeah, right about there. 58.55 is the bottom there. And then the potential high is 65.87, which is the top of the blue box. And then 63.10 is the end of the blue line here. So 63.10, this is the range that this thing is likely to kind of go in if we do get a reversal here. And it follows the momentum up. So that's what you're looking at. Nothing's a sure thing. There is no holy grail. We're not trying to be right. We're just trying to be probable. And so that's why we got percentages across the board here. Like all you need is a 52% edge on a 2-to-1 and you'll make money all day. So if you don't understand what I just said, learn money management and learn how to just kind of make guesses and take your losses and get out when you're wrong. And when you're right, just ride them for at least 2-1, 2-to-1, 3-to-1, 4-to-1. So that's the AI forecaster. The next one's a pretty cool tool. It's called Trade Protect. And let me just click on it and I'll show you what it is. So these show up on the mobile app on the bottom and kind of like and when you're scrolling, it's kind of fun because they rotate like they rotate the numbers and animate in your face. It's kind of neat. So when I click on Trade Protect, so this is a Trade Protect for, what am I in? I'm on Ryanair, big company. It's a big airplane company. So basically what the Trade Protect is, it's trying to answer one question: is this company going to zero? Like, is this company going to go bankrupt, or should I be entering this company? And so it gives you a report, breaks down all kinds of scores, Altman Z score, the Piotrowski score, and if you aren't familiar with any of these things, you can click the little eye. Kind of gives you a range of where they should be, showing stability and fundamentals in the company. And then we have a strengths, and then what to watch out for section here that you can read if you're concerned about maybe a lower number versus something that's maybe like Nvidia is like 97 out of 100 or something like that. And then there's a lot of pharmaceutical companies that are they're just burning through money. So they're like 10 out of 100. So you can go through stocks, click on the Trade Protect, and just see what the numbers are. That's fun. Trade liquidity is basically just a simple score to compare that stock against other assets and to give you an idea of how much volume there is. Unless you're trading big swaths of money, like tens of millions of dollars in trades or more, most stocks in the top 50% of the market are going to have enough liquidity to cover your $10,000 trade or your $100,000 trade. But it's always important to pay attention to average daily volume and the market cap, just to make sure that, like, if you're trading daily, there's probably always going to be volume. You could wait 5 minutes for a trade but to clear. But if you're all trading on like something small, like a 3-minute chart, a lot of stocks don't even have that much volume during the day. So you don't want to get stuck in something and not be able to get out because you bought a low liquidity stock. So that's what this is for. This is specifically very useful when trading crypto, because a lot of crypto, you could put $5,000 into a crypto trade and be stuck in it, and it drops 20% because you can't, if you sell the $5,000 position on a low liquidity crypto, you're going to move the stock, you're going to move the asset like 50% in price. So pay attention to the trade liquidity. On stocks, we've got days until earnings, which in this case is 42. Ryanair Holdings has their earnings call before market open in 42 days on May 18th. So that's a useful stat. We have news here, and what the news does is that when I click on this, it's doing a sentiment score, and it's fairly accurate. It is trained on financial data and financial headlines, and so there are some false positives that come up every once in a while. But it's going to give you a breakdown of the headlines and then the sentiment scores. So if something really stands out, or something's like really green, so like this says, Ryanair profit jumps and passenger guidance hiked due to earlier deliveries. So this was like good news, got a 95. Ryanair profit soars 42%, prompts higher full year passage target. That's a 97 out of 100 sentiment. But then recently we got, here's why investors should give Ryanair stocks a miss right now. So that's negative from Zacks.com. Business Insider says, warned that a quarter of his fuel supply is under threat. That's negative news. European stocks plunge after Trump vows to hit Iran extremely hard. So that's negative news from CNBC. So this is useful to pay attention. Like, it's very useful if there's like lawsuits going on, because if there's a lawsuit going on in a specific stock, it's gonna mess with the price, obviously. So it's good to pay attention to the news. And then we have some simple technical indicators, RSI, some EMA trends, and the 52-week range high-low is useful to see visually here, just to kind of see where you are within the context of the last 52 weeks. And then this is difficult to use on smaller devices, but we do have a little feature. If you click on the stop loss, it tells you how it works. And the way it works is all I have to do to set a stop loss is just go in the sidebar here, click above the price, and click below the price. And then it tells me the percent if I take a loss on this. So let's set this to the recent local low. So there's my stop loss. And then let's say we've got this area over here that's kind of got some action going on. So I just set that and move it down. So you can see I just move it down by just clicking continuously. So then I got almost a 12 to like, let's say if I raise this a little bit more, make it really tight, or make it 4. So I don't know, something like, it's almost like a 12 to 4. So there you go, you got a 3-to-1 ratio. So that just tells me, you know, what I can potentially make or lose. So that's the bottom row, that's the stat box. That covers everything on that page. So let's go to the search bar now. So if I go into the search bar up here on the top, the search bar above the chart opens the search overlay. There are 3 ways to find trades from here. We basically have ticker, leaf, and basket. So if I click this first button, so on mobile, you just use your finger and it's like really fast. On the desktop, we're just clicking with our mouse. And you can see I just change it to ticker. So ticker, all you're going to do is just search for the ticker. Pretty simple. So when you search for the ticker, so if I search for, I'll just search for the letter A. I've got all the letter A tickers that come up, and it shows you the TZ, SC, and then have the bar count trend. So you can see here Amazon's in a very recent switch to the green. If I click on that, you can see it just recently turned green here. So if we get like kind of a bounce out of this, that might be a good, if momentum keeps going up, that might be a good trade. So I'll go back to search for A again, just random. So I mean, you can literally just put in B and just look at the scores if you want. It's kind of handy. So that's ticker, very simple. If you change the time frame here, and if you're on a pro account, you can change to like hourly. So then when you click one of these tickers, it'll take you to the hourly chart. And then you can change to ETF. So if I search for, let's do like Q, I got the QQQ and the TQQ right there, and it tells you how long the trends have been going. So most of these have been going pretty long. There's a 30. Let's just look at the Qs here. We've got a bar count of 30. So it's just been, this actually looks kind of gnarly. It's a fairly deep V, but if this doesn't break out here, you could be seeing further downside. And if I click on the leaf here, we almost got a pinch point happening. Yeah, we do. So if we have a pinch point happening, signal is convergence at an extreme, crossover may be imminent to the downside. So this could be a potential short. So you could do the stop loss. Let's do an AI forecast here and click it, clear that out of the way. And then I'll zoom in a little bit. See, it kind of like peters out. But we can go over on the side and I can click the top. And then I'll just click the AI forecast box, right? So we could do a tight stop here. So if we're wrong, we get out at 591 on our short. Or we short down to, let's say, I don't know, right there. So that's like a 1-to-6 ratio. That's a pretty solid risk-reward ratio right there. And if I want to get rid of my little stop loss, just right-click and it goes away. And then I didn't cover these items up here in the top, but it's just zoom in, zoom out. This one just sets it to the default. And then if you're, like let's say you have this locked, and you click that, it takes you to the last bar. So that's a convenient way to get the current bar if you want to get to this recent bar and then try to find trades from that. So back to the search. That was ticker. Like I said, if you're whatever time frame you're on, if you click the dice roll, so if I do ticker, ETF, let's do stock. Ticker, stock, 1 hour, and then I just click dice roll. I just got random 1,000 or random 200 stocks that I can sift through and just look for patterns that I like. Like, what was that last pattern? The last pattern, this is a crazy pattern right here. So watch what happens if I do this and then do find trades. We get these gnarly spikes up. There's one that's very similar. There's a very spike up. So this is a pinch. So either you short this and get wrecked because it keeps going up, or you wait for it to maybe like, this is extremely, yeah, this is just going straight up. So this is it's a gnarly move up. I would wait for it to kind of base out like something like this. And then once that yellow line starts forming, then you can look at maybe shorting it. Otherwise, you're just going to get killed to the upside. So back to the search here. So let's go into leaf mode. Switches the search to, so if I click leaf, it switches to the leaf, basically the leaf library. So instead of searching for a specific stock, we are searching for a pattern to use, or a saved pattern, which can be a pattern that's either popular, is from your library which you saved and then named, or favorites. So basically, if I go to the community, which is it's just basically all the community members, you can see their saved charts and then what their descriptions are, and then you can fave them or favorite them, and then they show up here to be reused. Or you can just like click one, for example. Let's do this find stage for short, for a potential short, and then it's over here on the left. You can save it, and you can see it was the same one. You copy it over. I can just save it. Or if I'm on the last bar here, it would be the similar. It should be similar. It's not exactly the same. If you want the exact same one, you go to there. But so back to the library, you can see we've got a whole bunch of patterns here you can click on that other people have posted. And then we are still marking some of these, but there will be positive ones that people will mark as popular, or we're marking them as what's happening right now. But eventually we'll probably programmatic that. So once people favorite them, they'll show up as popular. And then this also has a dice roll. So I can just randomize whatever they are, which is fun. So you can just kind of see what shows up and then click one that kind of draws your attention. Because once you get familiar with, what shows up, so you know that this shark fin soup is, you've got a strong bearish drop just by looking at the trend. It's a very strong red trend. So this is probably tanking. The swing looks like it went up a little bit, and then the momentum's kind of in the middle somewhere. So let's click on this and see what happens. Yeah, see, it tanked is hard. It's called shark fin soup because these little shark fins. But this is kind of holding ground, but yeah, I don't know. You could set a stop loss here, and then maybe it breaks to the upside at some point, but it's pretty gnarly. I'd rather look for something like this that's just breaking down, and then you just get in anywhere here. Just ride that down instead. So back to the search. That is the leaf searches. Basically, if you want the pattern to run on ETFs, just change it to ETF. If you want to change it to 30 minutes, you basically have a leaf on the ETF on 30 minutes, and you just click it, and then you get shark fin soup on 30-minute ETFs. So there is, what am I looking at? 3 to 7 year treasury bond ETF. This is the first one that comes up, and it's got this shark tooth choppy stuff going on. And there should be a similar pattern. Yeah, like that. It didn't even look like the chart changed. That's how similar the first result was. There's some more choppy shark fin soup. Dude, almost every one of these looks very similar. There's another one that looked exactly like the original one we were looking at. So, I mean, you can go through here and just have a day just going through all these different patterns. And then the last one, which this section is still a little bit under development. We're still building out the infrastructure for this. But I'm just going to keep it simple. Basket stocks, 1 day. And so you can click here to get to your watch list. Your watch list is also in the sidebar menu. And then it was also on the bottom left is what I said earlier. And then if you have your own basket saved, Yeah, as I said, this is under development. So why did ETF change it to stock? Oh, didn't mean to do that. Basket stock, one day, my baskets. There we go. So these are my stock baskets. It was showing the ETF one. I don't know why it didn't change over, but basket stock, one day. These are the 3 that I saved that have all my stocks in some baskets that I can look at. And then, so we can click on profile, and the biggest things in here are probably going to be industry, or I mean index. So you've got the Dow Jones. Like if I click on NASDAQ 100, it's just going to take me to basically a basket of the NASDAQ 100, which is over here on the left. And none of these are similar charts. It's just a basket of tickers that I have. And then I can scroll through the NASDAQ 100. If I changed it to like 1 hour, I could look at the NASDAQ 100 on the 1 hours and just go through it. So eventually we're going to probably have thousands of things under here. You could do different market caps. So I could do only mega caps, or maybe only nano caps, and look through those. This one's really good. I like this this trending one, which is tracking popular tickers that show up on Reddit. So you can click the trending one and get that data. There's a price one and a bunch of different variants of price baskets. So if I want everything over $100 or between $10 and $20, I can look at those baskets randomly. And then I don't think this leaf one's enabled yet, but we're going to be able to search by the leaf metrics, obviously. It's just not built yet, but it'll be there. So that's where to look for that. So that's the search bar. Let me exit out of this. So the filter overlay. So if you go into the top right here, there's some dots. We'll probably have some more chart types added eventually. I would just stick with the bar chart for now. I have EMA 50 turned on. I think by default it's not turned on. So that yellow line just appeared. So that was the EMA 50. I like seeing the 50 with the 200. A lot of people do. So that's just chart settings that we have. That's all we have right now. We have a Demo 10, so you can add the Demo 10. So now I have the 50 and the Demo 10. So that might just be too much for people. The leaf trail is actually the P data that's on the leaf. This is kind of taxing on the CPU, so you can see it kind of glitches out. But it gives you an idea of the pattern that you're trying to draw. So if I want to draw this pattern, 34P is up here. And if you look over on here, it's pretty maxed out because it's way up here, away from the EMAs. And then this one's kind of closer to the EMAs, so it's less. And then these ones are all very close, so they're all shrunk down a little bit. So you can see this one's shrunk down, this one's shrunk down. So that's all that's doing. It's just helpful if you're trying to draw your own leaves and you want to see the trail. But I would say do it on a decent computer. This cone thing, similar. It's very kind of taxing on a CPU, even on my computer. So it kind of draws a cone. Give me a kind of estimate of like where it could potentially go. But it does take a moment to draw. So I don't really use that much. And then this is an important bit. So set global filters for stock. There's a button for ETF and crypto, which are separate. So we'll probably add more filters to this over time. But we want to keep it minimal because we're trying to look at most of the stock market, or at least I would say at least half of it, and then get rid of a lot of crap that's in the market that nobody should ever be touching or trading. For example, we can exclude certain industries. We've got the entire industry list here and how many tickers are in them. And if you didn't know this, there's like hundreds and hundreds of biotechs, and most of them are complete trash. So by default, we try to weed those out. If you're in your account and you're seeing weird results with very crappy tickers, you can go in here and exclude an entire industry. I specifically like to exclude biotech, which is a couple hundred companies, shell companies, which is a couple hundred companies, and then banks regional is just annoying to trade and look at. So that's another 300. So we're basically eliminating like about 1,000 stocks right here in just these three categories. And then I remove, maybe you like penny stocks. I personally remove anything below $5 and then try to keep the market cap somewhat reasonable. So anything that's a plus, you can say plus or over 300 million. If all you want to do is trade mega caps, you could select mega caps, but you're not going to get very many results. And then this is very important, min bar count. So the leaf is not going to work. The similar actions is just not going to work that well when the min bar count is set to, 0 or nothing, I guess, because you'll get stocks. Let's say an IPO came out like last week. Stocks only got 7 days of data, so it's only got 7 bars. It's just going to disrupt your similar matches. So 400 is a good number. If you're looking at a daily chart, that's 400 bars. That's about, I think, like 19 or 20 months worth of data. Now, if you're only trading on like hourly or 5 minute or something, then you probably want to lower this. But I mean, you can play with the numbers, but I would keep it as a basis. This page right here is kind of a good starting ground. And then to save it, you can either hit the check mark or you can hit apply filters. And that's it for the little ... in the corner. So we kind of briefly went over the Leaf library, which shows up here in the little ones. So these are kind of like the tiny version. But if you go into the menu bar over here and you go on Leaf library, you get the bigger versions. And so this is where you can save favorites, save to your account if you want to take this and make a copy of it. And then a cool thing also in here, which is it's similar to just selecting the stock and time frame at the top. But what you can do is change the time frame and the branch to whatever. But these are only available to pro members. If you're on a free account, you're going to be limited and you're only going to see daily. But you can just change it to 1 hour, find trades. Boom. So let's look up for Dragonfly. So I'm going to favor this. I like the Dragonfly. Now it's going to show up under my favorites up here. We can also dice roll stuff. So I just dice rolled a bunch of stuff and now I lost what I had. So I click on favorites because I had favorited it. And there it is. And I can change it to, let's change it to 1 hour. Stocks. Find trades. And boom, we've got this Dragonfly pattern yields these kind of charts. They're all very similar, kind of dippy looking. So let's go back to the library, Leaf library. There's an info box here, which when people save trades, it'll say how to trade this, and then they can fill this out. So some people might fill it out, some people might not. When you fill out your own, you can do the same. And so same as the search bar, you've got popular, my Leaf favorites, and community, and a dice roll. And then you can search if you know the name of it. So if I search for North right there, that North Star one, if I spelled it right, will show up. So there's that North Star one. So that is the Leaf library. Now we have a feature here also that's quite powerful, but this is another feature that's under development. And I have to make some changes here right now, actually, to get this to work properly. But this should work, should show TZ, SZ, and the X and Y axis, and then the size of the bubbles will be by market cap, and then I kind of like the bell Y. So if I do find trades, this is showing the entire market and where they are. And this is the entire market, so this is going to be slow as molasses. But if I change basket, let's just do the NASDAQ. Let's do the top 250 NASDAQs. And then click Find Trades. And then this draws better. And then we'll do fundamental. Market cap. Some of these buttons aren't working yet, but let's do market cap, see if that works. Yeah, see, so now we got some bubbles. Market cap, this is a big stock, it's Tesla, a big stock, Apple, Google. And so we can click on these charts, and then you can see, let's click on one way up in the top corner, top right corner. You can see these are +5 TZ and SZ. And then if you go down here, it's going to be -5. So this is like a bearish trend. So you can kind of click through these. So this is another way to kind of see where you are in the market. And then something that sort of works right now that's going to be improved is, let's do like Microsoft. Of course, we need to search for ticker. There's Microsoft. Want to know daily. There's a view map here on the top of the ticker list on the desktop view, and you can click view map, and hopefully this works right now. Let's see if this works. Of course it didn't work. What did I miss? Well, once I finish this feature and in the coming weeks, that ticker list will be moved over and copied into here, and then you'll see all the bubbles of the stuff that you clicked on. So, leaf map, partially working, coming soon. Just put it at that. Should be improved over the next couple weeks. So other stuff down here that's less important and is common that you see around. We want to have lots of different indicators on this page and have this more organized. But we're in you can see where we are kind of in the business cycle using PMI and ISM data. So you can see back in like 2021, we had a huge bull market. The business cycle was booming, and then they raised interest rates, and then 2022, everything collapsed. And then we've been in this super long sideways. This is like the longest trough in ISM and PMI that we've had in a long, long time, like decades and decades. But it is kind of turning bullish, so I don't know. 2026, 2027, people are scared, but that's usually kind of a bottom signal, so we're kind of trending up a little bit there. And then interest rates, we track 80 different international central bank hiking rates. So same thing here, you can see the rates were dropping into 2021. Then we had that big bubble here because rates were too low for so long, and everybody had free money, and then they raised rates. The United States raised rates extremely fast, as you can see right here down below, this is just the United States. And then that tanked 2022, this whole rise and climb up of banks just murdering free money is basically what happened. But we're kind of in a bottom here right now where it can't really get much lower. I mean, we're basically at the bottom of 2008, the collapse of 2008, and the collapse of the COVID, and we're kind of turning around, and the USA always kind of lags the rest of the world. So if you follow the world and then wait for the USA to catch up, because the USA is the big market, everybody else kind of swings around what the USA is doing, because you can see the rest of the world already started raising rates long, like 6 months before, 12 months before the USA even thought about it. And then you can see, like, before they even raised rates, which is the yellow line, that was officially them raising rates, you can see the treasury market was already predicting or already kind of going up before it. So that's something to pay attention to. The treasury market kind of knows or predates what's going on in the Fed. And then here's the Fed inflation and unemployment targets that they try to seek. The orange is the unemployment rate that they want to be at, which right now they're right at that, which is where they want to be, but they still think inflation is high because they want to be at this yellow center line, and then the actual line is running hot a bit. So they still think inflation's high, but the unemployment rate is kind of where it should be. So that affects their Fed decision rates. The rest of this was just kind of added, probably not so much important, but just money market funds moving around, and then we added real estate in here just to kind of because we know the real estate market's been getting clobbered in certain markets in the last year or two. So we just personally wanted to kind of see that. So that's on here. And then consumer sentiment's basically been in the garbage for 3 years completely. So there's that chart. And then we have an economic calendar, which is pretty looking. So we're looking at high impact stuff this week. The ISM is actually released today, I believe. And then tomorrow is some other stuff. Inflation rate on Friday. Consumer sentiment on Friday. So if you follow this stuff, or want to follow this kind of stuff, some of this stuff drastically affects markets moving in real time. So you can see if something's happening at 10 a.m. and the market moves, you'll see why, because something happened at 10 a.m. And then we have an earnings calendar, which is cool because it shows the leaf patterns and the trade protect score and liquidity score and the PE and the monthly volatility score and 52-year highs. It shows like the relevant data for you to be able to maybe trade this, and then you can click on it and it'll take you to the chart. So that's a handy earnings calendar that you can follow. We went over the macro dashboard already, and I was just going to go through some examples. I didn't save any of these tickers for any particular reason. Some of them, they might have looked good at some point in the last month or so when I was testing. And so I just have a list of random stuff here, and I was just kind of I'll just scroll through my list of random stuff here. I just saved Microsoft because I thought that was interesting that Microsoft has gotten absolutely obliterated. Went from 550 to 370. I would think at some point this would be a good time to, maybe when is this going to bottom out, if ever? Google had a big, strong run up. I just like this big bullish green bar here. You could probably, this is a fairly stable move. You could probably fine trade that from right there and see some more green stuff. Westlake Corporation, Basic Materials. I don't know what that is, but got a strong bull. I mean, these are some FOMO charts. I'm pretty zoomed in though, so if I zoom out, it's still going straight up. So let me get back to my watch list. I went too far. I'll just reload it from here. My stock watch list. And then I'd save this. I saved this because it looked like a decent short opportunity. Kinetic Energy, yeah. Because let's say the Iran war, some news comes out and it says, and Trump is like, "Oh, Iran war is over," and then whether it's true or not, the market is going to be like, "Oh, he said things," and then the market reacts to the said things. And oil has been on an absolute tear because everyone thinks that we're going to run out of oil, which is absurd. Some countries probably are, to be fair. But if you're in the West, I think you'll be all right. But if the Iran war said they ended it tomorrow and there was an announcement, this is probably going to tank. And we're already in the red. We already got dying momentum down here with the turn and pinch. The AI forecast, the AI forecast says death. It says straight down. I think it's probably going to be somewhere more in the middle here. If it turns over, it'll probably just float up here for a little bit and then peel over. But if there's an actual news event, yeah, the thing would probably tank right through these lines. So I thought that was an interesting one. I kind of have my eye on whatever this RH furniture store for maybe a dip out here. Let's look at some of these other ones. This is one that got absolutely brutalized. If you haven't noticed, I like looking at these ones where they're just massively oversold. This looks pretty good. What is this? ACI Worldwide Incorporated software. Oh, software's been getting killed because of the AI narrative. But I'm writing software, and AI improves the software. It makes it more efficient. It helps locate bugs. If you're a senior level engineer and you work at a company, like you don't need junior level engineers anymore. You just fire those 10 guys, and then the senior level engineer can do the work of all 10 guys, and it'll be not junior level work. It'll be beyond senior level work. The senior level guy is just the one managing it and knows what he needs and knows what he wants. And so I think a lot of these software companies have been getting killed and are just oversold because these companies have multi-billion-dollar setups and infrastructure, and the software is now just going to get improved, and they're going to use AI for all kinds of things like marketing and finding their market and doing advertising campaigns that are actually profitable. And so I think a lot of these are oversold. Specifically, whatever this is, we've got kind of like this bouncy thing going on here in the bottom. The momentum's going up. And then what does the AI say? AI says kind of flat, mainly because this trend is pretty harsh. This is kind of keeping it from rising up. But like even if you said, set your stop here, maybe a little bit tighter, back to the mean, that's a 2-to-1, or a 1. Actually, I read that wrong. That's a 1.2-to-1, so that's a 1-to-1. You'd have to be fairly accurate to do that, so you'd have to probably go a little higher, or maybe even set this tighter. But if this came down, let's say this came down to retest this little area here, and then maybe this is where you would set your entry, and then your stop would be here, but then your entry would be like down here. Then you would have a better ratio. You probably have something more closer to a 2-to-1. Or if you play it for a breakout back to like 50, you're looking at 3-to-1, 4-to-1 ratios. So let's just scroll through some of these. That one actually had some stop loss on. I don't know why. Oh, you know what? I know what this is from. This is from right in this area. Because this was turning over. And so if you had bought there, it went back up to this area. And then the stop was probably below that. Probably in this green area. So I don't know. I'm not saying I did that trade, but I think that was my understanding there. Because that stop loss setting was probably set previously, probably a month ago or something. Because I haven't looked at these charts in a while. So there's some more dips. More dips. Or whatever this is just got crushed. Honda? Jeez. Why did Honda go from 32 to 23 in such a short period? See, hey, this is a heavy dump. I would wait for something to like bottom out here. I don't know, in the 20 range somewhere. Can I zoom out on this? Oh, I know why I saved this. Look how many times this bounced down here in the 20 range and then went back up like quick. So you got this one here, this one here. These ones never even tried. So this is a pretty oversold. So this oversold is probably covering all the people that bought up here that got killed. So yeah, Honda could be like a bouncy area in this area, maybe. Here's an Eiffel Tower. I think this is one of the. I think we have an Eiffel Tower. Yeah, let's click on this Eiffel Tower. So I'm going to leave my watch list here and go to this Eiffel Tower pattern. The Eiffel Tower, the pump and dump, basically what the Eiffel Tower is. There you go, there's an Eiffel Tower. Pump, dump, it did it twice on whatever this is. RB Global. What is RB Global? Provides insight services and transaction solutions for buyers and sellers of commercial assets and vehicles worldwide. So commercial vehicle selling or something? I have no idea what this is. 7,900 employees. Never heard of it. But I don't know, man. You put a stop loss. Wait for this AI to open up. Put a stop loss right there. Put it up at the AI. There's a 3-to-1 right there. Good trade. Let's go. I need a drink. I've been talking too much. All right. So there you go. That is the platform. The Leaf indicator is groundbreaking, in my opinion. I think it's amazing. can find trades in every time frame immediately. And so this is our beta release of the software. So I've got a nice call to action here for you. I've got an offer for you just to drive right into what we've been talking about. More is coming, but the core workflow here is simple. Find a past setup that worked, click it to capture the leaf, hit find trades, and let the platform reveal live matches across the whole market. Everything else in the platform is just kind of extra bonuses that we're going to be adding. But what I want to add in my offer here is that we have 2 features that we are currently actively building right now for Pro members. And the first thing is we are about to backtest millions of leaf patterns across 1-minute time frames on this US stock market going back 30 years. And so when this is finished, it's going to be integrated into the system, and we have space here on the right in this open space here on the desktop that'll show statistics that is related to the leaf that we're looking at, and will particularly possibly give you an edge of a couple percentage points based on the leaf that you're looking at. Or maybe it's a crappy leaf and you don't want to trade that leaf. So if you're on like mobile or whatever, then those stats will probably be in this panel. It's probably where we're going to add them. So that data will be built directly into the Pro system. The second thing that we're working on, we had this like a kind of a beta version of this on the old platform, was we're looking for market breadth, but on smaller time frames. I've never seen anybody do this. Maybe a Bloomberg dashboard, but a Bloomberg dashboard, I don't know if you're familiar with the Bloomberg dashboard or the Bloomberg terminal, but that thing's like $2,000 a month. It's expensive. But if you want to get like market breadth, you can go on platforms like TradingView and they'll show you the percent of stocks above the 50 moving average or the 200 moving average, basically the entire market, and it kind of gives you this oscillation of how many stocks are overextended versus, let's say, oversold. And if you're in a trade like this, for example, I'm looking at this Eiffel Tower right here. If I know that the majority of the market, let's say only 20% of the market is above the EMA 50, then this is likely a good trade because there's not much liquidity left to be selling. So it's likely the market's going to reverse as a whole, and then I want to start looking for tickers, like this one specifically, where it's going to catch up to the trend or the momentum of the entire market moving up. Like, we just want to be like the little, you ever see those little fish that follow the whales, and then the whale eats a big, like, otter or something, and or a shark eats an otter or something like that and chomps it up into pieces. And then there's like little guppies that are just following the sharks underneath the shark's belly and just gobbling up all of the extra food that comes from the shark eating it. So we just want to follow these whales and follow these sharks. So when the entire tide starts going up, we just want to be that little boat that's kind of like going with the tide. And so we have that feature. That's the second feature that's going to be available only to Pro members. But we're looking to do it on multi-time frames. So I want to do market breadth on like 1 hour charts, 5-minute charts, 15-minute charts. I don't want just daily. Like, I want to look at a 3-minute chart and be like, the entire market is pretty oversold. I'm going to go start finding some tickers that have a pattern that look like this, that are going to start going up. And then when the tide turns, I'm just riding my boat, just riding up as the tide goes up. You don't want to be stuck in the sand with all the other boats that got stuck at the wrong time when the tide was going down, and then they're stuck there for 6 hours, losing all their money because they can't get their boat out of the sand. Is that a good analogy? So the first feature, backtest is statistics on the leafs, which we will show leafs that have statistical edges when we find them. And then the second feature is the multi-time frame market breadth, which we're working on right now. So that is exactly everything that we're building or that we have built. And this is kind of like the first full release of the software that I'm presenting you today. So this is groundbreaking technology software, whatever you want to call it. And so that's the edge we're building at Wealth Branch Pro. Both of these features are coming I would say within the next couple months, definitely within the term of an annual subscription, which is why today, with this new release, we are offering a locked-in promo code for early access that will be attached to your account. So if you're watching this video, you can go sign up on the website and get that early access code, or you can just scroll over past. If you're looking at this video on the offer page, you're just going to see it right after with a button click. So this video is probably going to be posted on a couple different places. We're going to have it on the tutorial page, probably be on YouTube as my guess too, so some people might be coming in from YouTube. But these features are going to be coming in, and so our offer with this early access discount code is going to lock your price in. It's going to lock your discount in forever, and our goal is to raise prices on this platform once we have statistical data backing up certain leafs, as well as market breadth indicators that don't exist elsewhere that absolutely can give you an edge in your trading and make you a better trader and successful trader and more profitable trader. And so just follow and look for that discount code. It's probably something like probably early 26 or early 70 or something like that. It'll show up on your account. And welcome to the Wealth Branch platform, and I hope to see you inside. Reach out to our chat if you have any questions, and we'll be more than happy to answer them for you. And once you're inside, we do have a form that you can fill out to request features. And if you do find any bugs, absolutely let us know, and we'll get them fixed as soon as we can. I'm personally the head programmer on this platform, and most of this ideas came out of my crazy, mildly autistic brain. So my name's Kyle, and then Yuan, like the Chinese money, Y-U-A-N, is usually on the forefront of our chat and marketing and support and sales and stuff like that. So if you ever see either one of us floating around, we're more than happy to answer your questions. So that's it for the full tutorial of the Wealth Branch platform. Hope to see you inside.